Michael Harper was a broke single dad raising his 8-year-old son after losing both his factory job and his small repair shop during an economic downturn. They lived in a tiny, rented garage apartment where every dollar mattered. Despite hardships, Michael never abandoned his love for restoring classic American muscle cars with patience and determination. One rainy afternoon, Michael accepted temporary work cleaning a famous restoration warehouse. The building belonged to a wealthy collector who owned dozens of valuable classics. Among them stood a rare 1968 Pontiac GTO, silent for years despite endless restoration attempts by the country's most respected specialists and expensive engineering consultants hired from prestigious automotive companies. The collector had already spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to revive the legendary muscle car. 10 different experts replaced engines, electrical systems, fuel components, ignition modules, and wiring harnesses. Every repair looked perfect on paper, yet the powerful GTO refused to start. Frustration filled the workshop after every disappointing test attempt. Michael quietly swept floors while observing technicians discussing complicated diagnostic reports. He never interrupted their conversations or criticized their methods. Instead, he carefully watched the vehicle whenever everyone left for lunch. Years of repairing neglected family cars had taught him that simple mechanical problems sometimes disguised themselves behind expensive assumptions and complicated theories. One evening, the collector noticed Michael staring thoughtfully at the silent GTO. Smiling politely, he joked that perhaps the janitor could solve what 10 famous experts could not. Everyone laughed around the garage. Michael respectfully replied that he only wished to inspect the car carefully without replacing expensive parts or making bold promises. Curious and having nothing left to lose, the collector handed Michael the keys. Engineers crossed their arms confidently, expecting another failure. Michael opened the hood slowly, touching wiring, hoses, brackets, and fuel lines with calm concentration. He listened carefully while manually rotating components, searching for something overlooked beneath countless expensive replacement parts installed during previous repairs. Instead of blaming complicated electronics, Michael crawled beneath the car using only a flashlight. There, he discovered a tiny mounting bracket slightly bent against a grounding strap. Every vibration interrupted electrical continuity before ignition. The damaged piece looked worthless, explaining why expensive specialists ignored it while focusing entirely upon sophisticated mechanical systems and advanced diagnostic computers. Rather than ordering another costly replacement, Michael searched through the workshop's discarded metal bin. He found an old steel bracket removed from a broken agricultural machine. Using basic hand tools, he carefully trimmed, shaped, drilled, and polished the scrap until it perfectly matched the missing support needed beneath the GTO's electrical grounding connection without spending additional money. Engineers watched skeptically as Michael installed the handmade bracket. Some whispered that such a simple solution could never repair a legendary muscle car. Michael tightened every bolt carefully, checked the grounding path once more, and stepped back quietly. He invited the collector to turn the ignition while everyone gathered around, holding their breath nervously together. The collector slowly twisted the key. Instantly, the massive V8 engine exploded to life with a thunderous roar echoing throughout the warehouse. Mechanics froze in disbelief while toolboxes rattled across the floor. Thick exhaust cleared as the GTO settled into a smooth idle. Cheers erupted because the impossible mystery had finally been solved by forgotten scrap. Silence quickly transformed into celebration. Employees applauded while the collector laughed with relief. The same engineers who dismissed Michael moments earlier walked toward him respectfully, asking how he recognized the hidden problem. Michael explained that experience taught him expensive failures often began with tiny, overlooked details rather than major mechanical defects or complicated electronic systems. News traveled quickly across automotive forums and classic car communities. Journalists visited the warehouse after hearing that a broke single father repaired a priceless 1968 GTO using nothing more than scrap metal and practical thinking. The unbelievable story inspired thousands because it challenged assumptions that expensive technology always provided the best solution to difficult problems. Television crews interviewed Michael beside the restored GTO. Instead of criticizing previous experts, he praised their dedication while explaining everyone approached the challenge from different perspectives. He believed successful restoration required humility, patience, and careful observation. His respectful attitude impressed audiences even more than the remarkable repair itself, because kindness accompanied extraordinary technical skill. The grateful collector refused allowing Michael to leave with only temporary wages. He offered him a permanent position, leading classic restoration projects within the warehouse. Michael hesitated because confidence had never depended upon prestigious titles. After discussing the opportunity with his son, he accepted, believing stable employment would finally secure their uncertain future together. Michael's son proudly visited the workshop every weekend. Instead of expensive toys, he received lessons about responsibility, honesty, craftsmanship, and perseverance. Together, they restored forgotten classics while learning that broken machines resembled difficult lives. Both could shine again when someone cared enough to understand hidden problems instead of abandoning them after repeated disappointments and failures. Collectors from across America soon trusted Michael with rare muscle cars once considered impossible to repair. His reputation spread because he solved mysteries without wasting money unnecessarily. Customers appreciated his honesty, often discovering repairs cost far less than expected because he fixed causes rather than replacing perfectly functional components simply to increase invoices or profits. The famous 1968 GTO became the centerpiece of the collector's annual exhibition. Visitors admired its flawless performance while hearing the incredible story behind its revival. Beside the vehicle stood the tiny handmade bracket crafted from worthless scrap metal. People smiled, realizing the smallest overlooked object sometimes carried the greatest importance within remarkable achievements and unforgettable history. Several former experts returned during the exhibition, expecting embarrassment after their unsuccessful repairs. Instead, Michael welcomed them warmly and shared every detail behind his discovery. Together, they discussed lessons learned from the experience. Professional respect replaced pride because everyone recognized genuine knowledge grew stronger whenever talented people learned openly from one another without resentment. Michael eventually opened his own restoration academy, teaching young mechanics practical diagnostic skills alongside modern technology. Scholarships welcomed struggling parents seeking second chances. Every classroom displayed the handmade bracket inside a glass case, reminding students that determination, creativity, humility, and careful observation often solved problems that enormous budgets and prestigious reputations could never overcome alone. Years later, people remembered the remarkable GTO not because 10 experts failed, but because one broke, single dad refused believing impossible stories. Armed only with experience, kindness, and a handmade scrap bracket, Michael restored more than a legendary muscle car. He restored faith that ordinary people could accomplish extraordinary things through persistence, wisdom, and unwavering hope.